We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Disseminate propaganda to influence people's minds, and this is a major function of the CIA.
Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
Welcome back to Notify America. We have multiple pressing stories to get to, stories that include the U.S. military under attack as the world begins turning on the United States. Also, Rudy Giuliani filing for bankruptcy as a court awards $148 million in damages, further degrading free speech in America. And the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, who has been at war with Elon Musk these past few weeks, has suddenly backed off. The CEO issues a public apology, and a China-owned herbicide company whose products banned in 58 countries but legal here in the States is allegedly responsible for thousands of Californians developing Parkinson's disease. But before we get started, press the like button and subscribe. It's completely free to do. Helps out the channel and I appreciate it. According to Fox News Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin, attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East have exploded. As of last week, there have been 92 direct attacks against U.S. forces since October 17th. That number probably much higher today. Our service people are being targeted, attacked, and we hardly even hear about it. Why do you think that is? Well, yesterday, we brought you a story about how Yemen's Houthis announced they are coming for Gaza, telling the Palestinians to hold on, not to give up, because they are coming. They've begun mobilizing, announced it with that very well-produced video that we showed yesterday, and they are on their way to the Gaza Strip, which means this war has just grown even larger, and in the process has managed to shut down a major shipping corridor in the Red Sea, something that's really quite impressive and puts the U.S. military in this big predicament, forcing the Biden administration to send his Navy to counter this like subpar force, but on the slim chance that the Houthis actually sink one of our ships, which is possible, unlikely but possible, leaving us with thousands of dead sailors, what do you think would happen then? Has Joe Biden considered that possibility? The Navy nowadays is meant as a deterrence, not to go and fight in this like small passageway, which there are reports, by the way, that this area has been lined with underwater mines, waiting for our coalition ships to just cruise on by. U.S. is learning what happens when you mess around and find out. This administration has chosen to just rush headfirst into foreign quagmire after foreign quagmire, just bumbling us into any available conflict that pops up instead of using our State Department to make deals, talk to one another, and keep the peace, saving our dollars and our lives in the process, and gaining some respect back, by the way, around the world. It's like when you're young, right? And your friends are involved in some brawl. When you're young and you're inexperienced, you just jump right in to help. But if you're smart and you're disciplined, you wait and you watch, right? Then you strike when the opening and the time arises. Well, in that analogy, we are the ones with inexperience. And guess who appears to have the discipline? China, who manages to never get involved militarily in any of these regional conflicts. They just sit back and continue to move the chess pieces around the board, saving their money, growing their military, and watching as we just squander our resources and reputation. And speaking about China, in another story yesterday, December 21st, during a meeting between the Russian Prime Minister and the Chinese counterpart, his Chinese counterpart, they declared that Western currencies have almost been completely eliminated for Russia-China trade, saying that nearly all payments between the countries are now settled in their local currencies, either rubles or the yuan. If you aren't aware, the US dollar is the world reserve currency, right? It's been like that since the end of World War II, following the Bretton Woods Conference. And the only reason it still is today is because there's no other currency out there that's large enough in circulation, nor has the reputation like the US dollar does. But since all of the sanctions that the US and our allies imposed on Russia following their invasion of Ukraine a few years ago, along with sanctioning any country who decides to do business with Russia, constantly intervening, it's led much of the Eastern world, even our allies, some of them, looking for alternatives to the dollar. Watch.
Why is it necessary for us to buy things from Djibouti and pay in dollars? Why? There is no reason. And we are not against the US dollar. We just want to trade much more freely. Let us pay in US dollars what we are buying from the US. But what we are buying from Djibouti, let's use local currency.
Back in the United States, Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, has filed for bankruptcy in New York after he was ordered to pay $148 million to two Georgia election workers in a defamation case following his statements he made about the 2020 election. He allegedly accused them of trying to rig the election against Donald Trump. One of Giuliani's lawyers released a statement saying, "No person could have reasonably believed that Mayor Giuliani would be able to pay such a punitive amount." This is the same thing that they did to Alex Jones, folks, ordering him to pay $1 billion settlement. Both are these ridiculous amounts of money designed as deterrents to prevent you from saying things that they don't like. If you see that it can happen to them, then they could do it to you as well. It's an intimidation tactic, forcing them into bankruptcy. One thing the left is good at is using the court system to their advantage. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, who has been going after Elon Musk and X over the last year, implementing a massive smear campaign to tie Elon Musk's X platform to anti-Semitism and pushing advertisers to drop X from their ad budgets. Well, yesterday, in a surprise turn of events, the CEO of the ADL came out and publicly apologized to Elon Musk, saying on the record that after he reviewed Elon's recent and older statements that he was wrong and Elon is not an anti-Semite. Watch this.
So let me set the record straight in a few ways if I could, Ed. So number one, I don't think Elon Musk is an anti-Semite. He's just not. I've talked to him enough times directly. I've listened to what he said, privately. I've listened to what he said publicly. I don't think he's an anti-Semite. Period.
In another story out of California, a Chinese herbicide company who sells a product called Paraquat is being sued by thousands of California workers who allege are being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at a much higher rate. The number of Parkinson's diagnoses in this specific location are significantly higher than in other parts of the country, for example. This product, Paraquat, is an herbicide. It's used to spray vegetation. The product's banned in 58 countries due to its toxicity, and research suggests that Paraquat triggers Parkinson's by crossing the blood-brain barrier. The company denies a causal link and says that there's a lack of conclusive scientific evidence, yet some scientists contend they commonly use Paraquat to induce Parkinson's disease in mice as part of research studies. All right, that wraps up this episode. Press the like button and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.